Okay, so in this equation, x plus xy equal y, we once again want to make x the subject to the formula. But this time we have a new problem. We have x in multiple terms, in this case 2 terms. So how we approach this is we need to factorize. Now the terms containing x, and xy, they are already on one side of the equation. So there's no need to rearrange the equation. Sometimes you do. In this case, you don't have to. So we're going to go straight towards factorization this time. When we factorize, we look for similarities between the terms or commonalities between the terms. So in this case, x is common to both terms. We begin with 2 terms. So when we factorize in brackets, we're going to end up with 2 terms. Plus sign comes down. Now x is common to both terms. That goes outside the bracket. And I'm going to divide both terms by x. Okay? X divided by x becomes 1. X divided by x is also 1. Multiplied by y becomes y. Now on the left hand side, we now have x multiplied by 1 plus y in brackets. We want to move 1 plus y to the other side. Multiplied by 1 plus y will become divide by 1 plus y. So we take this, move it across here. We're going to move a few terms. The x, the y. And it is now y divided by 1 plus y. And that's our answer. Now let's take this example. In this case, again, we have 3 terms. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah? The terms containing x are this. And we need both of them on one side of the equation. So the easiest thing to do would be to move the first term to the right hand side. Now, this is really positive x. The plus sign is understood. You would not see it written. You need to be aware of it. You're going to move this to the other side. Plus x becomes minus x. And we can also remove this positive sign. We could continue with this orientation. We want to make x is subject to the formula. We're going to factorize the right hand side. We begin with 2 terms, so we must end with 2 terms in brackets. And there's the minus sign, which we can bring down. Yeah? So what is common to both? X. We're going to divide both of these terms by x. X divided by x will give us 1 times y is y. X divided by x is 1. And that's it. We've factorized. The next thing we want to move would be y minus 1 to the left hand side. So this becomes y is equal to x. Yeah? And we have y minus 1. And what we do is we simply move this to the left. And now we have y divided by y minus 1 is equal to x. Or if we prefer to read the equation left to right, x is equal to y divided by y minus 1. Now here's another way we could have approached this. We could have moved y plus y to the right hand side because it does not contain x. We move it to the right, it becomes minus y. And then we move xy, which is really plus xy, to the left hand side. And when we do that, we're going to end up with minus xy. Again, we factorize the left hand side, so this becomes x. Okay. We divide by x, we have 1 minus y. is equal to negative y. We now move 1 minus y, or multiply by 1 minus y, to the right hand side, where it will become multiply becomes divide. So our answer is negative y divided by 1 minus y. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Now let's understand what this is. This is really x is equal to negative y divided by 1 minus y. This is negative 1 multiplied by y divided by 1 minus y. Now what I can say is x is equal to negative 1. I could say that negative 1 was really 1 divided by negative 1, the same value, multiplied by y divided by 1 minus y. 1 multiplied by y will be y. Negative 1 multiplied by negative 1 divided by multiplied by 1 will give us negative 1, and then negative 1 multiplied by negative y will give us positive y, and that's our answer. So we can have the answer in the same format as the method on the left. I just want to point out that this part of the solution, strictly speaking, is not necessary. We could have stopped at this point and be done. The only reason I pursued it was to demonstrate that both outcomes are equal. So here we have this question: y is equal to 2 minus 1 divided by x. And there are a few ways we could go about this. The first way, we can start by simplifying the right hand side. Now 2 is really 2 divided by 1. So we're going to take this and I want to express it as a single fraction. So what I'm going to do, multiply the two denominators to get my new denominator, which will be x. Once we do that, if this is the way you get your common denominator, by multiplying the existing denominators, the advantage is you simply have to cross multiply now. 2 multiplied by x will be 2x. 1 multiplied by negative 1 will give us negative 1. We can see that we have x at two locations, or two positions, here and here. So what I'm going to do is, the first step, I'm going to carry this to the left hand side, where divided by x will now become multiplied by x. So we will have xy is equal to 2x minus 1. We now want to rearrange, have all our terms in x on one side, which means this needs to be moved. So I'm sorry. 2x needs to be moved to the left. When we move that to the left, it becomes xy. This is positive 2x, becomes negative 2x. We factorize. We get x is equal to y minus 2 is equal to negative 1. And then we move the term in brackets y minus 2 to the right hand side. Multiply becomes divide. So negative 1 divided by y minus 2. And that's our answer. Now for the second method, what we can do is we're going to move the 2 first to the other side. And again, this is plus 2. Plus 2 becomes minus 2. So we have y minus 2 is equal to negative 1 divided by x. Now y minus 2 is really y minus 2 divided by 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert both sides. Yeah. What that will give me is 1 divided by y minus 2 is equal to negative x divided by 1. Now the negative sign can be applied to the numerator or denominator. I'm going to apply it to the denominator because I want to move this to the other side and have x on its own, positive x on the right hand side. So when I do that, negative 1 multiplied by positive 1 here is going to give me negative 1. So we have negative 1 divided by y minus 2 is equal to x. Yeah? So the same answer both times. Yeah? We have the answer here. X is equal to that. X is equal to that. Yeah? Now there's a third way we could have done this. Yeah? What we could have done was swap sides. Want to switch negative 1 divided by x to the left, and I'm going to move y to the right. So what that gives me is negative 1 divided by x becomes positive 1 divided by x is equal to 2. This is plus y, move it to the left, minus y. Yeah? Now again, this is 2 minus y divided by 1. And again, I'm going to invert both sides. So I'm going to have 1 divided by x becomes x. And this becomes 1 divided by 2 minus y. Now for the sake of consistency, I'm going to say I'm going to multiply this by minus 1 divided by minus 1, which is 1. 1 divided by 2 minus y. Okay. Just to demonstrate that this 1 divided by 2 minus y is the same as minus 1 divided by y minus 2. Just want to prove it. Okay. So minus 1 multiplied by 1 numerators will give me minus 1. Minus 1 multiplied by 2 will give me negative 2. And negative 1 divided by negative y will give me positive y. So again, I have the same answer. X is equal to negative 1 divided by y minus 2. Okay. 3 different ways we could have gone about this. Okay.